So today I'm going to try to do some no-line watercoloring with Inktense Pencils. I have tried to sort of prepare some things ahead of time so that this doesn't take a super long time to do. This is Tim Holtz watercolor paper. Hi, Simon. And I am going to be stamping with the Create a Smile Coffee First stamp set. And I'm going to mostly be using this large cup to do some of the rainbow Inktense coloring. Alright, so let's get started just by stamping that down. I have a couple of inks out here for no-line watercoloring. I found Distress inks work best because they don't leave any lines as they activate with water, and so the lines will disappear as you add the water to your project. So, let's see. Got my stamp ready in the block. I really enjoy my Inktense pencils because they're really easy to use compared to some other watercolors. You get a lot more control with them, I find, because you can put them on dry and you can put a bunch of colors on at one time, and then you can I don't know, I just think they're a little bit easier to control, essentially. I mean, you'll kind of get to see that in today's video. So, might have been better to stamp off once before stamping directly so that the lines wouldn't be as dark, but we'll see how it goes. And like I said, I'm going to try to do like a little bit of a rainbow pattern, and with Inktense pencils, you can lay down all of your color at once. So I'm going to start with the chili red at the top, and I'm going to make the darkest part of the cup to be on the right side over here. I can sort of see comments because my phone is above me, but I can't always see them like when I'm looking down and coloring and stuff. So if I miss your comment, you might just want to send it again, or if you if you ask a question or something. So because I want the shadow to be on the right side, like I said, I'm only putting the color on the right side because I can pull the color out, and this will create a light shade in this area. So that's another reason I like Inktense pencils, because it makes the shading super easy. I don't have to go and layer in a few colors to get shading. I can use one color and achieve several shades. With this cup, there are only 5 slots, and there are 6 colors in the rainbow, so I'm just going to make the handle be the purple in this instance. I'm using the rough side of the Tim Holtz watercolor paper. I'll be honest, that was not an intentional choice. May have been a little bit easier to use the smooth side, but either side's gonna work. I like the Tim Holtz watercolor paper because it is bright white, and so then when I mount it on a white card base, the watercolor paper matches. I used to use the, I think it was Strathmore watercolor paper, which was nice, but, you know, it was an off-white color. Okay, so to watercolor, I have a water brush, but this particular one, I don't like the water flow in it, but I do like the actual brush nib. So I usually just take a water bottle and spray it. This happens to be like a fragrance mist from Bath & Body Works, and then when I was done with it, I put the water in it, which kind of actually gives a really nice smell. So you, even though it's not fragrance in there any longer, it's just pure water, it still has a little bit of the smell. So, alright, as I come in, the Inktense pencils are in fact really intense, and they blend easily, but as you can see, any area that I laid color down is going to stay really dark. And I want to make sure that I come out into the white area while there's still a lot of essentially paint left on the brush, because as you coloring in the dark area, you're picking up some of the paint to go on the brush, and you want to move it over to the lighter area. And it might be a little bit difficult to see because the camera doesn't zoom in really well on this, but the lines of the stamping are disappearing because they're being covered by the color and because they are distress ink which reacts to water and will start kind of blending in to the red in this instance. The lines might be a little bit more noticeable on a light color like the yellow. And if you find that your water is getting a little dark or dirty, this is a Tim Holtz craft mat, then we'll just wipe it up and spray some more. When you're coloring with Inktense pencils, you might want to have a paper napkin or something handy for the times when there's a little bit too much color on your brush and you want to wipe it off. I have a tendency to just wipe it off on my hand, but not everybody wants to get paint all over themselves, so a napkin would do the same thing. I think that generally the Inktense pencils are pretty quick to color with, but as with any coloring, it takes a long time, so I'm not sure that I will have a lot to say during all this coloring, but if you have any questions about Inktense pencils or anything, let me know and I can sort of talk about that as I color. Okay. So there I'm changing my water because I'm moving into this yellow color, which is going to be a lot lighter, and I don't want the old color to contaminate it, so I'll get my water bottle back out. I find this to be a little bit easier than using a cup of water, because then you'd have to change the whole cup each time you wanted to change colors. So when you're only using a little bit of each color, spraying on your mat works. The new Ken Oliver Best Craft Mat Ever would work really well with this as well. But I did notice, because I was playing with it recently, I have it, and it's actually underneath my Tim Holtz craft sheet right now. And the only thing that I don't like about it is that you can't tape things to it. It has this sort of non-stick quality where your paper, or sorry, not non-stick, sticky quality, where your paper won't shift around as you manipulate it. But that means that you can't use masking tape or painter's tape to tape something down. So for instance, when you're using a stencil and you want to tape it to your work surface, the Ken Oliver mat, you can't do that. And I like to work with stencils a lot. So I'll probably mostly stick with my Tim Holtz craft sheet. However, when you are traveling, the Tim Holtz craft sheet is super frustrating because if you roll it up and there's any sort of bend in it, that becomes permanent because it has these glass fibers. And so any little bend, it just stays there. And, it's not a super big deal. It doesn't mean that it won't work anymore, but, that can be frustrating because you feel like, oh, it's delicate, and you might get worried about it when traveling. Whereas the Ken Oliver mat, Laurel Beard ran it over with a car, and it's still okay. So it shows it's pretty durable. And, you can crinkle it up and it takes its shape back, which you certainly could not do with the Tim Holtz craft sheet. If you crinkle it up, you've kind of ruined it. Okay. The colors are bleeding into each other a little bit, and that's probably just because the yellow was still a little bit wet when I moved on into the green section. So to prevent that little bit of bleeding like you see here, you might just want to wait, especially because the yellow is such a light color, it's going to be easily dominated by another color. And the reason I went with the Coffee First stamp set is the Simon Says Stamp Wednesday challenge is to use food or drink this week. And I haven't really participated in a lot of challenges recently because I've been doing so many cards for design team assignments and things like that, and trying to make sure that I'm kind of a little bit working ahead because I will go back to school soon. I'm going to teach first grade this year, and I just want to make sure that in that sort of back to school time that's coming soon, that I might be a little bit extra busy getting things ready. I won't have to worry about all the assignments that I have. So, as most people know, I have a YouTube channel, and so I make videos for a lot of my cards, and so that does take a little bit more time than just taking pictures or posting cards. Okay, so hopefully this coloring will be done soon. We could speed this up a little bit. Maybe doing some coloring wasn't perfect for the Periscope broadcast because it does take a long time to do, and people can be short on time when it's spur of the moment like this. I might go back and touch this up a little bit afterwards, but for the most part, I've got it colored. And you can see that the lines are basically disappearing into the cup. It's not 100% perfect, but I'm not able to sort of get in there as much as I could if I were just doing this without the camera in the way, essentially. So that's the kind of highlight of my card, but I am going to do a sentiment stamp, and I'm using also the Caseology sketch, which kind of has like a strip across the center and a sentiment, sort of dividing the card into two bits, and the strip is sort of at the top. So I'm going to keep my sentiment in this area to continue that visual line there. I am combining the Newton's Nook Simply Sentimental stamp set and this Cool Buddy stamp set. I want the Warm Fuzzies sentiment. I like that, but I don't like that it doesn't really have like a specific purpose. So I'm going to use it with the Sending sentiment, so Sending Warm Fuzzies, and then On Your Big Day. And the Sending On Your Big Day, all that came from Simply Sentimental. It has all of these little sentiments that you can use to combine with the larger ones or with some of your other sentiments like I'll be doing today. Really versatile set. I use it a lot. I've used it to the point where like my stamps are kind of coming off the sheet. They've lost their stickiness. If that happens, just wash the whole stamp in soapy water. Like peel off this whole stamp and submerge it in soapy water and scrub it. So I'm just going to stamp on this sentiment, and that's going to be it for today. Just so you can see how the stamp sets sort of combine together. And I'll use some VersaFine ink because it's waterproof. And if I decide to go back and add some more watercolor to the project, it will work. So first the Sending, then Warm Fuzzies, and finally On Your Big Day. Alright, so for now, I'm just going to call this done. I might do some more to finish it off later for the challenge, but thanks for stopping by. Bye.